Hang on.
What? There's like 100 of you in here. Like, should be a bit louder. All right, how are you doing today?
Good.
Great. Great. Thank you. I'm so excited to be back. I'm also an alumni of Penn State. I studied accounting at the business school, and fortunately, I got some great experiences working in management consulting, sales, higher education in London, and now I'm launching a career coaching practice in Manhattan that's also based in London. I've worked with thousands of international students, placing them in over 80 plus countries around the world. Some of my favorite students to work with are international students. Who can guess why? That is a question posed to the audience, which usually means I'm looking for an answer. Who can guess why I really love working with international students?
Because you're hardworking, because they know you're not in
Because you're hardworking and you know you're at, I don't want to say a disadvantage. First world country, we have food, we have roofs over our head. For the most part, we have great advantages, but when it comes to career, there is a bit of a disadvantage in different marketplaces. And you do work hard. Why else?
Overseas experiences.
What's that?
Overseas experiences.
Overseas experiences, cultural diversity, understanding of a global marketplace. The world is it's not getting smaller, it's getting bigger, but more connected. And all of these positions require global connectivity. Now, how many of you are quite concerned about either your upcoming job search or getting a career after you graduate here in the US? As you should be. It's a big investment. You and your families are paying a lot of money for an opportunity to gain experience, to build a life for yourselves and your future families. It's a noble cause. So we want to help you, and thank you to Penn State for having me, to understand a few tips that are going to help you in securing that job abroad. So, it's really important that, one, we're quite aware of our values and our strengths as we go into the marketplace. Because if we don't know who we are, we don't know what we're offering a company, it's going to be very hard for us to convince them that they should hire us, they should purchase us to work for them. We want to target less competitive cities. Why would we put ourselves in a saturated marketplace when we have the opportunity to potentially pivot to somewhere with a little bit less competition and more opportunity? A lot of us tend to want big names on our CVs. However, there are some fantastic millions of small and medium-sized enterprises itching for talent that are going global. They're looking for language skills. They're looking for cultural diversity. I mean, diversity and inclusion these days is a very hot topic in the workplace. We want you to know the facts. Right now, there's so much information that you're getting from all over the place, social media, hearsay, but there are also facts that if you know, you're going to be able to educate employers on what they need to do, because you better guarantee they're not educating themselves all the time on what it takes to hire an international student. So you can make their job easier. It's going to be very important for you to also leverage your networks. The people that you know, the Penn State community, and all the 500 billion plus individuals out there in the professional workforce, 500 million of which are on LinkedIn. And how many of you have already started their job search for internships or full-time opportunity? Raise your hands. Looks like half the room. For those of you who are here, why haven't you started yet? You said it, it's not easy. What you're about to venture on is not an easy task. I'm not here to tell you it's going to be okay. I'm here to tell you we have to work really hard to bring what we want to fruition. But it's not impossible. So, how many of you actually have a specific target in mind of the job, the industry, and the location that you want to be in. Great, so about like 6 out of 100. How many of you just want to get a job? It doesn't really matter. Raise your hand. Okay, well, there has to be, is there something in between that I'm missing? So, you don't want to take a shotgun approach to your job search. Shotgun approach. Just shoot and have all the bullets spray everywhere. You might hit something, but you don't even know what you're aiming for. You need to be targeted. Because if you're speaking to an employer or you're speaking to someone that you're networking with, how are they supposed to know what you want if you don't know what you want? Right? Right? Yeah. I'm going to keep doing that. It's not because I want to like nag you guys, but it's just fun to get a little interaction. You guys try speaking with no one responds. It's kind of weird. So, 3 areas that define a target: your job role, the industry, and the location. If you're able to define those 3 things, you're going to find it's going to be much easier when you're doing your research online. But if you don't really know what motivates you, what inspires you, where your strengths are, what your values are, and what your interests are, and how that can relate to a job, how do you even begin that research to target something? It's not what mom and dad say is going to be a prestigious role. How many of you have your parents like really all over you, just saying, oh, you need to work with like a big company. I don't care what it is. Big company, make money. How many of you? You're all liars. We all have a lot of oversight and helicoptering from our families, or peer pressure, or from society. The answer is actually in here. If you're able to assess who you are, what your strengths are, what actually energizes you, it could be regular everyday tasks, it could be stuff you've been doing since you were a kid. Those all map and are transferable to the workforce. So, 2 tools that we're going to send after this for anyone who attended today, if you signed up. There's a subjective storytelling exercise, which is going to help you identify those core strengths. Okay? It requires a bit of reflection, thinking of the greatest moments in your life, from when you were a child all the way till now. And through pattern detection, through these experiences, you start identifying strengths that you can use as keywords in your job search. It will make sense once you read the document. We have a targeted job search plan. This is focus down and write down what you're looking for, from location to job role to industry. They're just some tools to kind of help you take. How many of you feel like all your thoughts are just all over the place with this? Yeah, just like, yeah. Everyone, like most of us shower, we just forget that we showered because our thoughts are all over the place. We're humans. It's what we do. Let's write stuff down. Let's get a bit organized, and let's take the time to look inwardly and then outwardly. Can we agree to do that at least? How many of you would like to work in New York? San Francisco? What are some other big cities? Miami? Could be cool. Pretty hot though. Might not exist in a few years with global warming though. Now, you have these hotspot cities where everyone wants to work. What's the problem with that? Extremely competitive, yes. How many of you have tried to get a position in New York? How'd it go? Just shakes her head. You have positions that have over 10,000 applicants for some of the top companies in the world in these specific cities. Let's be smart about this. If your goal is to get work placement in the US first, and most of you are probably what, between the ages of 18 to 24? Raise your hand. I would have given you 17.
Thank you.
Even if you're 25 and above, we have our entire lives to work. Right now, it's about securing an opportunity that's going to help you level up through your 20s, into your 30s, to create a life that you can be proud of. It's very difficult to find that ideal opportunity. It's a diamond in the rough. But with a strategy, with a plan, you can get to where you want to go. Hey guys, all up in my business right now. So, what are some other cities that you think would be good to focus on? In the back? Boston, yeah, potentially. Also quite competitive though. Where else? Philly, there are some good opportunities. Pittsburgh, popping off right now. Lots of banking opportunities there, engineering opportunities. Where else? What about internationally? What are some good hubs that might be a little bit less competitive? Toronto, one of the most international cities in the world. I would assume it's still a bit competitive though, because everyone's trying to be in Canada right now. It's trying to escape the border here, right? So someone found that funny on the web. Where else? Paris. If you speak French. The French have no leniency towards English. It's like, you better speak some French. What about Abu Dhabi? What about Manchester in the UK? You could go to London, but why not Manchester, the second largest city? Why not Singapore? Why not Hong Kong? You have multinational companies there. And I'll explain why that's a good idea a bit later. And don't worry, I know you can't see these slides, but we're going to send them out after the presentation, okay? So you'll have access to all the links in there, to like all the visa sites and like this and that we're going to touch on, okay? Does that ease like a little bit of stress?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Sometimes I swear you feel like you've gone deaf for a second, and then you hear people answering. So interestingly enough, we have a lot of opportunity in Texas right now. That's startups, that's fintech, that's engineering. You don't see it on the map, but actually the Dakotas, North Dakota and South Dakota, huge in the startup and fintech scene. Carolinas are a fantastic place to work. And what's great about these places is you'll make a good salary, but you won't spend all of it on your rent. And it's important to think long term. Why are you going to just blow all your money on a place to live or live with 6 people in like a 2-bedroom place? We're not freshmen in these halls anymore. Well, that says your work authorization options are key. How many of you are actually authorized to work in the US? Raise your hand. What's that, 4? I should see more hands. You're all authorized to work in the United States, either on CPT or OPT, correct? If you don't know that, just wait until the end of the presentation. You have 30 minutes from a trained expert to learn all about it. You all have authorization to work here. That doesn't mean it's going to be an easy process. And then, how many of you want to go back home and work in your home countries? Raise your hand. No pride? No pride in where you came from? Why do you not want to go back? Who wants to answer? Why do they not want to go back to their home country after studying here? It's just something that I just like to hear a few opinions on.
To me, it's more of an opportunity. I don't mind going back. If I find a good opportunity, I'll go back home. If I find a good opportunity, like we were saying in Hong Kong, I'll go there. It's just about opportunity.
Depends on opportunity. Okay. Who else? Who else does it? Who else? The demand of your career choice. Why else don't you want to go home? Where are you from? Lebanon. So am I. Lebanese. Yeah, but there are great opportunities. I just delivered a presentation in Beirut. Depends what you're looking for. Depends how you network.
No job opportunity back home.
Where is that?
I'm from Chile.
From Chile.
In my field.
So either lack of opportunity or who wants to just kind of escape their parents? We love our parents though. Let's get this right since it's streaming live. We love our parents. We wouldn't be here today primarily if it wasn't for them. But you want a bit of freedom. Now, either in the US or your country of citizenship are two places that you can work. But there are other options. We're going to discuss those later. But I have to ask, what unique skill sets do you guys bring that others don't into the workforce?
Foreign languages.
Foreign language skills. Absolutely. What else? Cultural experiences.
Adaptability.
Heck yeah. Adaptability. Acceptance of diversity. International insight. Those are all correct. I like international students because for the most part, I see a lot of resilience. It's an interesting situation to be in. My parents were immigrants or refugees of the Civil War in Lebanon when they came to the US. And for them, they kind of came under the radar. And yes, they didn't have all the red tape around, there was some red tape. But they had to, with $20, you know the stories, $20 in my pocket, I was able to create a future. But it's not a lie. It's actually incredible. But yet we're in better positions than they were in. Yet still we feel stuck due to the red tape. However, if we're willing to work for it and look under every stone and seek out opportunity, anything is possible. And that's not like some fairy tale myth. With effort and hard work, you will get a result. Guaranteed. I've seen it with many international students seeking placement all over the world in places they weren't authorized. The ones who did the work got the job. The ones who didn't, they went home. What about multinational companies? So in Chile, are there any multinational companies?
Not that I'm aware of for my industry.
What's your industry?
Oil and gas.
Oil and gas. I don't know the industry well enough, otherwise I might rattle something off, but perhaps. Multinational companies in Lebanon? Nestle, EY, PwC. What about in China? Any multinational companies?
Yeah.
Sorry? A lot. What about in UAE? Loads. Lots with American bases, right? Now, if we have to go back somewhere, whether it's back home or to a country that can sponsor us, such as Singapore or Dubai, why not work at a multinational and then in about a year and a half to 2 years' time make a pivot back to the US? Is that something you guys would be interested in doing? Now, with the H-1B visa, it's quite difficult to secure that in the lottery process. However, if you're working for a multinational already, you have the L1 visa. There are no restrictions on the L1. As long as you're working there and the company feels that you're going to be a good asset for them in the new marketplace, they'll bring you over, no questions asked. And seeing that most of us here are young enough and we have our lives ahead of us, 18 months to 2 years, some of you won't even be 25 years old before you get to make that pivot. Does that sound unreasonable? I take it that was very unreasonable of me to ask then. Does it sound unreasonable though?
Yeah.
One of the biggest things I learned as I grew up, in college, I always wanted the world yesterday. I should have been a millionaire yesterday. I had my big idea. I should have launched my business already. Why can't I be there already? Why can't I be making 6 figures now? Why can't I get what I want now? And that lack of patience drove me crazy. Anxiety, stress, worry, sometimes leading to bouts of depression. And that's common. Don't feel like it's totally normal. However, if I was able to just pull back a little bit and say, if I put my effort in each day and I try my best, I'm giving myself the chance to skill up, I will get the opportunity eventually to do what I want. And once you shift your mindset like that, you will achieve your desired outcomes. I promise. It's all about mindset. This is what screws us up, not the world. We control how we feel. We control our emotions. We control reactions to those emotions. And in the job search, it can be quite demoralizing, right? So I hate having to ask twice, you know what I mean? It's just going to make the presentation longer, right?
Yes.
It's demoralizing. Now, oh, there we go. So, how many of you have had internships? I'd like to see all the hands. If you have had an internship, I'd like to see it. I don't care if it was back home or here. What's the benefit of internships? Building skills, work experience. What else?
So you have something to write on your resume?
Something to write on your resume. Expand your network. What else?
I was about to say.
You took the words right out of your mouth. What about figuring out what you don't like? How many of you have had an internship and you're like, wow, that was not what I expected? Internships are going to give you the opportunity to do and learn and skill up and build your network. And through CPT, you're able to do those here in the United States. However, a lot of students that I've worked with have built that experience up externally outside of the US. And those skills still translate because you're telling stories in interviews. So I don't even care it's a family business that you intern for. No one's like saying, hey, was that job experience a family business? No one's asking that. If you did something to add value to the company, it's a good experience and you can share that. And it shows that you've been in an environment where you've had to do work and hold accountability and responsibility in a certain sector. So most of the students I work with that were able to land sponsorship, both in the US and abroad, did have some level of work experience. Now, if your idea of college is sitting around in your pajamas, going to class just to pass, and not getting involved in extracurricular activities, or not putting forward the search for internships, then it's very unlikely that companies are going to be interested in your profile. But if you are putting in the effort, and you do showcase that work experience, you give yourself a level up on your competition, or at least give yourself the ability to compete in a very saturated marketplace. So, how many of you would ideally prefer to work for a large multinational corporation? Raise your hands. How many of you don't care too much where you work, as long as it's a job where you're learning stuff? Great. Now, a lot of people think that large multinationals are able to provide sponsorship a lot more easily. Do you guys agree? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's true in some cases. We have some employers such as Tata Consulting Services, Infosys, and IBM who do get a lot of the H-1B visas, especially those that are given to master's students, the 20,000 to be specific. However, they're often paying much less than the going market rates for contract type roles, specifically within tech. Now, I know small and medium-sized entities are harder to come by, and they may not always be recruiting on campus, but they're out there. They have to be out there. And it's important for us to make them aware that we're out there as well. So who wants to do consulting, for example? Raise your hand. Management consulting, environmental services consulting, engineering. What about engineering? Information systems technology, supply chain. What other majors do we have in here? Because I know it's quite a diverse array of students. Sociology. Sorry? Chemical engineering? So if you're out and you're looking for these companies, and you do a search, and later on, ideally afterwards, I'll be able to kind of give you guys a hands-on application of how to do this search after 6:30, right, Sherry?
Yes, I forgot to announce it.
Sorry. I'll show you how to uncover some of these small, medium-sized entities, but at the same time, how many of you think like they're quite familiar with the international laws for work authorization? You think they're familiar? Probably not. Is that a bad thing though?
No.
Why is it not a bad thing? Yo, come on. Why is it not a bad thing? You can exploit it to your favor. You can persuade them. You can educate them. If you guys know how to discuss OPT and CPT and giving yourself the opportunity to work here in the US, and you make it easy for them to hire you, then they're not going to say no. If you say, oh, well, you know, I'm an international student and there's like this process that you need to go through to hire me, and it's not going to be as easy as, like, automatically I'm like, no way, like, no thanks. But if you know what it takes and you say, all you need to do is provide an offer letter, and within 10 days to 2 weeks, I'm yours, essentially. Then, and it's a little bit more intricate than that, but you guys have to figure out the intricacies. You do the work, and you make it easy for the employer to hire you. Does that make sense? And Penn State does offer fantastic opportunities to connect through the job portal with alumni and attend loads of events. When I was here, I probably went to every Big Four event and just got free food, which was awesome. But also great networking, which led to some cool internship opportunities and job opportunities. Now, how many of you think that in Trump's America, it's much more difficult to get the H-1B visa? Raise your hands. I have to say, immigration does seem a bit daunting now. And work authorization does seem a bit intimidating. This is actually false. It's the same exact process as it has been. You'll have 65,000 visas for skilled workers and 20,000 for those with a specialized degree, master's degree. Nothing's changed. In fact, you have less applicants coming in because they believe that all of it's changed and it's totally worthless to even try this. So actually the odds are a little bit better, and actually unemployment's the lowest it's ever been at 3.9%. So economically, there are good opportunities. The lottery process does tend to be a bit daunting though for employers because it's almost like a gamble. It's not that expensive for them, but it's the time, it's the effort. So if you take all of that into account, it's a large potential risk to bring on someone who might not get the authorization. And how many of you know about all the different visa types available to individuals to let them work in the US?
My dad has L1, so I have L2.
So you know L1, so you have L2. Excellent. What else? TN visa, the E1, E2. We need to get educated on this stuff. Because if you don't know it, and employers don't know it, we're just operating in this cosmos of confusion. Someone needs to be educating the employer as to what the options are, and you need to know what your options are to come in. Now, some visas, if you got $1 million on you and you feel like investing in the US economy, welcome to the United States. It used to be $450,000 about a year and a half ago, but that changed to make it more difficult. So I do have some resources here that you could click into. I know, I apologize, it's not as clear, but you'll be able to really start researching and seeing what visas are available and how to make them work for you. Now, it's very important that you leverage your network. Penn State is one of the largest alumni networks in the world. If you go on LinkedIn, you have over 371,000 alumni working all over the world that you can connect with just with a button click. That's not even through the amazing alumni services team you have here. It's virtually. I don't care if you're a state college. Book a Skype meeting with somebody. Talk to someone virtually. Get on a WhatsApp call somewhere else in the world. It's free. There's no excuse. You can connect with whoever you want if you put in the effort. How many of you are doing that now? How many of you are reaching out to people and booking meetings and learning about job opportunities? A few of you. It should be everybody. You need to be proactive in your job search, not reactive. If people don't know you exist, they're not going to come looking for you. So think about the people who work in your target city, in your target companies. Do a bit of research. If you're a Penn State student and there's a Penn State alum, already you have something in common. Perhaps you find someone who's also Chinese or Taiwanese in a company, and you can do that by looking at their languages, or obviously their name, depending. And you'll be able to maybe have an in with them. So looking for commonalities. And leverage Penn State. You guys pay a lot of money to come here. You better take advantage of your alumni services, your career network, your career team, the CV reviews, the career fairs. You have to. I was walking the streets the other day. I was like, man, I should have done more. You could really do a lot here. You could get so involved. And on average, it takes about 6 months to find a job. So if you haven't started looking yet, you need to get started today, especially if you're about to graduate in May, especially. Make sure your resume is well written. Go to the career services team. I've seen their work. It's incredible. If you sit down and work with them, they will help you make an SEO optimized CV. One, most companies are using keyword searches in their applicant tracking system. So you need to correlate with the keywords in the job descriptions. Make sure you're doing that. Same with your LinkedIn profile. And know your application deadlines. This is the time right now when everyone's hiring. So jump on it. So you need to start that job search immediately. Apply these tips. Work with your careers teams. And network like you've never networked before. All right? So I would like to say, and I know we're jumping in, and I went 2 minutes over. Every time. I can't do it.
That is okay, because we are going to have questions at the end. Oh my gosh, I can't talk right now. Eli has offered to stick around after 6:30 to do some tangible LinkedIn quick tips and things like that, and we can do questions at that point, because I do want to move into the student panel so we can keep everyone on schedule. But definitely you can connect with him on LinkedIn, and we're going to bring up our panelists. And we're going to start with that session, and Eli is actually the one that's going to be facilitating that as well. So if you are a panelist in the room, I don't know where you are, if you could make your way up here, that would be awesome.
And it goes up to the corner, and then just further there.
Or just take it off of this. It's really blurry. Instead, it was going to adjust. Oh, yeah. I wonder if I can shut that. The screen.
All right, everyone. Thanks for the attention. I'd like to welcome our panelists. So what I'd like you to do, each of you, maybe starting from here, introduce yourself, your major, and why you're sitting with us here today.
Okay, so hi guys, I'm Namya. I am an industrial engineering major and I'm a senior, so I'm graduating in May next semester. And I am here because A, I'm a career envoy, so I help students, figure out their resumes or like how they want to work around job opportunities. And B, I have some experience that I can talk about and like give you guys like insight on. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Hi guys, my name is Nina Lee. I am a senior majoring in finance, minor in MIS. I'm here. I'm actually from Korea though, and the reason why I'm here is because just to let you guys know, like job search, internships, and I did went through a lot, and I know how you guys feel, so I just wanted to share that experience.
Hey guys, my name is Stan Lee. I'm a class of 2016. I graduated, so I'm a student. I majored in accounting at IST when I was back here. Also minored in supply chain IST and securities analysis. I did a lot. And I'm currently working at EY in the New York office, and here to share with you my story, my experiences, and some of the challenges that I faced.
Hi guys, my name is Gabby. I'm an international student from Brazil. I'm a marketing student, senior, so I'm graduating in May. And I'm here because, like you, I struggled a little bit finding a job, but I got it. So hopefully I'll be able to share my tips with you guys. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Tejas. I'm a senior majoring in computer science and economics. And I'm here to talk about my experiences with my internship and how I went through the job process and also how I leverage both the departments to use them to my advantage.
Amazing. So what would you say is was the most challenging part of the job search for you? And how did you overcome it as an international student? Let's start from this side. We can work our way down, or you can just raise your hand.
So probably the most challenging part initially for me was getting interviews.
Getting interviews.
The way I overcame it was refining my resume. I go to resume review, trying to get in touch with as many people as possible, making sure that everything was up to date, everything was required, and just talking to more people.
Excellent.
I think the hardest part for me was when I found a job that I really liked, and then the first thing it would ask me was my name, and then it would go, do you now or in the future require visa sponsorship? And then parentheses, we do not sponsor students. And I was like, great. So I think the best thing that I found out is that many companies have that on their applications. And like they might say that they don't hire international students, but they do. It's just that from what I heard is that they don't want to advertise that because they don't want like all international students coming to them. But yeah, I think it's just like making connections and still applying even though if they ask that question.
I love that. You answer yes or no.
Yes, obviously, I'm not gonna.
And just trying to make sure you guys do speak up. It's a long way to the back.
Probably one of the biggest challenges that I faced was really knowing what I really want, because interviewers and recruiters, they can tell if you're just trying to get a job versus if you're genuinely interested in something and working for the company. So for me, starting from freshman year, I did a lot of career fairs. I didn't care if it was engineering or nursing or science. I just went to, as Eli said, you get what you ask for, and when you put all your effort in, I was able to secure a lot of interviews starting freshman year, but after about 30 interviews, I realized that recruiters and interviewers, for me, it was one-to-one, but for them, it's one-to-many, sometimes 1 to 20, 30, 50, 100. So they would be able to tell whether you're genuine or not. So I kind of stepped back and really looked at my resume and my transcript, and also sat with my advisor and my mentors to really look at what do I really want? Where do I see myself, after graduating Penn State? What do I like to do? And that's kind of how I started to find my interest in consulting. And through getting involved with Strata Consulting Group, student consulting for nonprofit organization, SMEal, as well as NCG. That's how I grew my interest. And then my first consulting interviews, obviously I didn't make it. However, at least I felt different. At least I was more confident about the subject matter and the interview. So I guess knowing what you really want to do and having that message across, in a genuine way, I think was one of the most difficult challenges that I faced.
Thank you so much. Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Yep.
Perfect.
There you go. Please speak up.
Can
Yeah.
you guys hear me? Yeah. Is that better? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Speak
cool.
like that.
All right, cool. The challenge that I faced was basically everything. Like it was so hard to get an internship or like, so I had at least 13 interviews, but like she said, only ask you the first thing, your name, your major, and tell me about yourself. And then they ask you, oh, are you eligible to work in the US? So that was like the hardest part. So even though I had at least 13 interviews, that was like what I was getting. So instead of keep going down, like getting depressed or like really sad about it, I just kept I like just worked for it. So last year, since that was my junior year, I was, instead of not doing anything, I was involved with Penn State Athletics. I had internship over there, and I had another internship at SMEAL Business College with their alumni relations. And I kept going and going. I didn't stop. And then later on, I found an internship with the public sector. So what I did was, I wasn't really sure what I really wanted to do, but I wanted to learn. And I got an opportunity to intern with the public sector. So I was working for the state instead of the private sector. So, that's something different. So, I had to really focus. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but, now I can kind of like cross things out. Okay, this is not what I want to do. This is what I want to do. So I just took chances and not give up, but just kept working for it. Yeah.
That's it, perseverance, right?
So I think my biggest challenge was figuring out how I can stand out, because the whole time my parents explained the H-1B process is something as a set of skills that you cannot find in the U.S. that an international student can provide. So the whole process with me to figure out how I want to stand out, and in the end, I actually figured out that the way to do it is to be as authentic and as outside and open the door. I stopped looking at companies that just sponsor or just, I stopped looking into just getting a job. I looked into getting what I want to do. And that's where my passion really came out. And my true self really came out, and that's where I was able to actually achieve and, move forward. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Nice work.
I'd like to ask you guys, what's one piece of advice that you now know, because you've been through the job search, either for CPT or OPT or getting H-1B visa sponsorship, that you wish that you knew when you were in their shoes? Okay? We'll start in the middle, and then you decide how you want.
So one thing that I wish I'd known, if I can go back to student at Penn State, is probably focusing on what I can only do at Penn State. So I saw that, we have pretty diverse group here from engineering, science, business, whatnot. It's really important that you guys, find opportunities here that can differentiate yourself among other candidates that are not just at Penn State, but amongst other juniors and seniors across, the East region or even the States. So what I did as a student here was I decided to become a TA for Econ 104. I studied as a grader after finishing this course. I served as a grader for 2 semesters, and then I reached out to the professor, asking whether I can become a head TA. For undergrad students, that's not normal, or it's pretty, pretty rare. I was able to convince the professor that these are the things that the current, graduate TA what the FDA was doing. These are things that I can do on top of them, and how can help you better manage the class. So I was able to secure a TA position in my first semester as a junior year, and when I was at, can I say the name of the company or?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're fine.
So I was at Goldman Sachs, so which was my top choice when I was junior. And there were about 30 candidates for the interview, and 24 of them were from Ivy Leagues, and only 6 of them from non-Ivy Leagues. And they were from NIU, Boston College, UMich, Emory, and that's it. I was there. And every time I told them that I'm from Penn State, they were saying, "Oh, College Warren." I was like, "Okay, no, I went to Penn State." So that day, they kind of motivated me to really, look at, step back and really look at where do I stand? Not just at Penn State, not just, my classmates next to me, but where do I stand across, this other, candidates for this position, for this company at the location of choice. That's how I started looking at opportunities where I can diversify myself, whether becoming FTA, working at ITS as a consultant, or majoring in accounting and IT, with 2 minors in supply chain and security risk analysis. That's how I found opportunities to differentiate myself, and how you do, I can tell you. So, we have a diverse group here, but one key advice that I would strongly recommend is to look for opportunities around you, around your classes, organizations, and great opportunities here at Penn State to really focus on what you can only do here that your friends in other colleges or other organizations cannot do. And that will build your identity. That will help you become a better candidate. It will help you, build a good business case to secure, to have a strong presentation for your interview for the position of your choice.
Excellent. Who's he hanging?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I think my tip is kind of similar to his, but I have like a different background. I don't have, I'm sorry, 2 minors and five majors. But I try to be as involved as I could. So if I just list a couple of the things that I did, I played varsity soccer. I have been an IT consultant. I was a student athlete tutor. I'm part of the Penn State Marketing Association, part of the Brazilian Student Association. I've been to like other info sessions and events, and I think the more you get involved, the better, because then you can stand out in different aspects of your college career. So when I went to interviews, instead of saying, "Oh, I grew up in Pennsylvania and I played high school and I came to Penn State and blah blah blah," I was like, "Look, I did this here, I did this at Penn State, this at Penn State. Like in 4 years, I was able to do what like some students here do in 10." So I think try to get as involved as you can. That helps you make connections. Networking is key, but it also just makes you more valuable. And also, I think one of the best things I found out, at least coming from Brazil, there are many companies many Brazilian companies in the States. And I've been noticing that international companies in the US value a lot students from their home countries that go here. So this past summer, I interned at an investment bank. Even though I did receive offers to work at American companies, I worked for a Brazilian bank in the US, and I went through the same process. And it was a great opportunity. One, because I don't know, I feel like many companies here in the US, they say that they value diversity, but it's very hard for them to hire international students. If you go to an international company, they're definitely going to value your background. In my internship, I spoke 3 languages throughout the day. It was insane. I went crazy. But it was really cool because it helped me a lot, but it also made me have be around people from different backgrounds, and it gives you experience from like other markets, not just the US. So I think definitely get involved and look out for opportunities from stuff that is going on your country here in the U.S.
Following her advice, I would say the same thing, try to get as much involved as you can, because those extracurricular activities go a long way. I've been a grader with the Department of Computer Science. I've worked as a TA for Econ 102. I worked as a grader in the College of IST, and I was on the organizing committee for HackPSU, which is hackathon. So those clubs and organizations have helped me not only build connections, but we build meaningful relationships. I've known seniors when I was a sophomore or freshman. I've known juniors and seniors who were working at various firms who were international students, and they have shared their experiences, which have helped me when I got into the recruiting cycle last year, and it goes a long way. For example, I was working with a friend in the HackPSU organizing committee, and he was working at PwC, and he told me about a position that they had, and I got really interested with the position, and I interviewed and I got a job at PwC. So I interned there last summer, and his boss ultimately turned out to be my boss as well. So always use those opportunities and don't ever just let go from an opportunity. Always use that.
You don't want
No, they all said it.
to? All right, let's open it up to the audience right now. We'd like to take your questions. What questions do you have for our panel? Just raise your hand.
Hi, my name is Vishu. I have a question. While I'm applying to a lot of companies, but during the application process, there's like an option that I'm authorized to work in the United States for any company, and then there's another option like I need sponsorship to work for the company, and I feel like being here on a student visa, I'm authorized to work, but then why would they ask a separate question where it's just one question that
That's a good question. So the question was, there are several options when filling out applications online, and she's not sure which one to click, whether you have the right to work or you need sponsorship to work, but she does have the right to work because of CPT and OPT. So, what you had a response?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that because I had that question too when I was applying a while ago. And if you're a STEM student, I'm not sure if you all know this, but you have this extension for up to 2 years to work in the U.S. without an H-1B visa. And that's basically a work authorization to work here. So currently you can work here for up to 2 years, but past that you're going to need the H-1B visa. So I think that's what the question is for. If that answers your question.
So the usual response from international students should be no, you're not allowed to work here legally because you need sponsorship. And usually there's just that one option, and when you hit no, then they ask you if you need sponsorship, to which you reply yes.
Okay, great. Any other questions? You can just yell it.
I just wanted to add to that. She mentioned any company. It's not any company. You can only work in our field of study, which is probably why you have to click no for that one.
I mean, it depends. What I'm trying to say is like, so like, for instance, I'm a marketing major, and I applied for it wasn't a marketing job position. It was just like, I won't remember the title, but it was a plain business position. And it was for Disney, and they straight up said, oh, we do not sponsor students, we do not do this, we don't do that. And then in the end, I ended up getting an offer, and the first question that my manager asked me was, send me your paperwork so we can fill out the CPT information. So these big companies, they know the process. It's super easy for them. Obviously for a CPT, me as a business student, I can't really accept an engineering internship just because like I don't even know what I would be doing. But like don't how can I say don't set yourself this limit like, oh, if I'm a marketing student, I can only do a marketing internship. No, like, open your field of opportunities. Look out for opportunities. And as long as it has something related to your major, you're good to go. The company just needs to reach out with the letter saying, look, we want this person working. This is from when until when they're going to work, and like if they're going to be paid or not. And this is what he will be doing if he works here. It's pretty simple. And they make it seem like it's very complicated, but I promise you it's not.
So did you click yes or no for that week of
I did. I promise you guys. Like, I have never and I put it on my resume that I'm a Brazilian student holding an F1 visa. Like, I won't, and especially I have an accent, so it's not. It won't take really long for recruiters to notice I'm not American.
In the back there.
So when I was just looking through what kind of internship opportunities I have been specifically in the field of computer science, right? So all I could find was just like programming internships. Are there any other kind of internships in that field? Because I haven't been able to find any, and if I've been talking to mentors or people like that, if I mention computer science, they automatically assume that I'm looking for a programming internship, even though I explicitly mentioned that, okay, maybe I work in Photoshop, maybe there's like a designer or something like, that kind of.
Where are you looking for? Are you only ranging yourself to the Penn State Careers website? Because I can guarantee you guys, all the companies that I've been interviewed for and gotten offers, none of them come to Penn State. Like, that's fine, the ones that come to Penn State. But like, as I said, like, this here's a company that is headquartered in Florida. They didn't come here. The bank I worked for the internship, they are also headquartered in Florida. They didn't come here. I have a thing for Florida, I'm sorry. I also got an offer from NBC Universal. This year they're coming to Penn State, but last year they didn't. So like, don't limit yourself to just what's here at Penn State. Apply online, LinkedIn, like connect with like alumni, like he was saying. Reach out to people because like, sky's the limit, like they say. Like, just go after it.
I just have a follow-up question.
To answer your question, so most of the positions for computer science are software engineering or software development.
Yeah.
But the other side is you can try for consulting. They have a lot of companies that have a department called advisory. Most of the consulting firms do, where computer science majors can act as data scientists. So if that's something you're interested in, you can apply for those roles. Also, standard companies, the big tech firms like Microsoft, Google, they have data science roles which are not software development. So you can apply for those as well, and they're non-software development or programming. Easy to understand.
I think Sam has something to add.
Actually, I have to.
Yeah, so as mentioned,
You interrupting me is totally unnecessary.
It's my house. Don't even go there.
that they do target computer science or computer engineering. I am personally aware that Dell, Microsoft, IBM, those tech companies, they do also have consulting opportunities for students in the field of use.
Great. Let's take one more question from the audience. Right over there.
So for us international students, would you say we generally have a better chance of getting an offer or an internship if we apply to companies that didn't come to the career networks here? Or like we apply them online?
I don't think so. I think it's just like, it's equivalent. I was really into the entertainment industry, and they didn't come here, so that's why I reached out to them. But if you're interested in a specific industry and they do come to Penn State, that I think it's even easier for you just because you get to meet people that work there and recruiters. But like, just go search. Like, it's not impossible.
Well, I did not target like big companies because I knew like it's so competitive. So how I got my internship was through Skill Connect. So NASPO is called National Association State Procurement Officers. So every state has procurement officers, like, so they are in charge of how do we spend taxpayers' money for our state, like wisely and efficient way. It's like a whole different world than private sector. So I just realized after this internship, supply chain department at Penn State and the NASCO has some relationship with their research. And I got an opportunity to talk to the CEO of NASCO, who it's their second year of having an internship program. So then the young people can have give them opportunities for them. So I wouldn't really just target the big companies. There are places who are really looking for international students, because I know through this, there was Connecticut and I was in Idaho this summer. There's two states, their interns were actually international students. So they're not limited, just are you US or not. Yeah.
To add to that, besides the positions that are posted on the eCareer Network or Senior Connect, I think it's good to before you reach out for the choice of your industry. However, I would say personally leverage the career fairs and all these events that companies are hosting. So basically, every week I was here at Penn State, there was something going on. At least one company was here, but not necessarily business or IT, but there was at least one company just coming hosting events, and I attended almost every week. And what I would say is that leverage those events to have the personal relationship with the professionals that they committed to have a visit here with the recruiters, because you never know who they know and what they know. So even if your specific position that you're looking at is not listed in the Submit Connect or the posting that are available to you as a student, there are definitely other opportunities that you might be able to find out through networking, through learning from professionals, and also from recruiters. So I would say do go out to those events that are here. It's part of your tuition, and it's your privilege, really. I have mentees in other colleges that don't have as much as opportunities of companies coming here, and they don't and the career fairs that we have is tremendous. So do leverage that, do go out there, have your resume out there, but don't stop there, build that connection, build that resume, send that follow-up email, get their contact information to if you're not interested in IT consulting, but you are interested in business consulting, you don't know whom I am. So I can potentially connect you to one of my colleagues who is doing what you're looking for. So just like that, that's how I built my network of professionals across different companies when I was a student here. And basically for every company, I had a point of contact for the position that I was interested in. And also I leveraged a connection to have a site visit to the company of the office of my preference, which helped me a lot to really get understanding of, do I see myself working in here, next year. So a lot of opportunities out there. Don't limit yourself to positions that you can see that are available to you on your screen. To reach out to the recruiters, career services here, and opportunities are there.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all very much. We're going to be hearing from our team at DISSA right now for CPT OPT, right?
You got it. Yep. So we're just going to transition over to DISA. They've got a really great presentation on the OPT CPT process. So thank you so much for the panelists that were here. Eli is going to be sticking around at 6:30, so if you'd like to stick around and have any questions for him, like I said, he's going to do some LinkedIn stuff. So feel free to do that. And I'm going to open up the screen again, and we'll switch over to their presentation.
Make sure you put on the CD, right?
Yeah. Yes. That's just reloading.
presentation on Panasonic.
So you guys can get started. Yeah. What's that? Yeah, whenever you guys are around, that is fine. I know it's a little bit tight on the schedule. No, I didn't. I didn't even hear.
All the PowerPoint you guys are going to send it to us? All right, sounds good.
You're welcome. You guys are ready to go.
Hi, everyone. We're so delighted.
You're gonna have to have it closer. It doesn't work the best, apparently. Hey guys, it's good. The mic's not working as well, so you guys could keep it down to a low roar. We'll be good to go.
Well, we're really delighted to be here. Can everyone hear me with that? Try to, no. Is there any?
I don't know. That's not my mic. I have no idea.
Okay, can you hear me now? All right, how's this? That was working. Technology.
No, okay. That's. Hello. Hello.
Wherever I was. Well, I guess.
Oh, there we go.
All right, well. Sorry about that. Anyway, we are delighted to be here. My name is Susan D'Amico. I'm the Associate Director of ISA, which is International Student Scholar Advising, and my colleague, Brian Algio, and we will jointly be giving you a presentation on really just highlights of OPT and CPT. I love the prior presentation and the panel. You guys are really, really inspiring. It was some very, very good advice. And before we launch into our presentation, I do want to mention how lucky you are to be Penn State students. I've spent my entire career in higher ed in this field, and this is my 5th institution. There's something very special about Penn State. You mention anywhere around that you have any connection with Penn State and people's face light up. So I really want to echo all the advice for getting involved in networking while you're here. You have no idea how many doors that may open to you, whether it's in the short term or in the long term. And also the advice of making use of the Career Center. Career services at Penn State, and I heard about this long before I ever even thought I might come to work here, are respected around the country as some of the top in career services. The things that you can take advantage of through career services,
would be very, very expensive for someone who's not a student. So make use of that. So on to, on to the next slide. So I'm going to start off, and we're going to conclude with just broad top tips. We are going to talk about the highlights of what's involved in C. There's a lot of details in immigration. I love Eli's presentation. The one thing is, while the laws have not changed, things really are tougher with the government, and that's not to discourage you. Yes? I don't know.
The mic isn't working all that well, unfortunately, and unfortunately, nobody, none of us are.
She said lights.
Oh, lights? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Lights, mic, I can turn this off at least.
Are you having a hard time seeing the PowerPoint? Oh.
Now yes.
Is that better or worse?
It's good. Is that better? I don't think it'll let me go into it lower.
We thought this would be so bright.
I specifically chose a darker color font.
The other way around.
Oh, I just.
That's so
Well, anyway, I will keep talking in the spirit of time. Immigration is extremely detail-oriented. The details matter. It's more important than ever in a challenging climate that you really pay attention to the details, because if you don't, you can screw up your legal status. It might affect your ability to be granted CPT or OPT. You don't automatically get CPT or OPT. You have to apply and be granted. So DSEP has online trainings. We're not getting into all the details that are in the training, so I encourage you to take the trainings and really pay attention to the details of what you need to do for the application, and things will go much more smoothly. And we have training, we have guidance. Please read our emails, and as much as possible, I encourage you to read on a computer as opposed to your phone. It's very hard to pay attention to details on the phone. Oh, that's perfect. Is that good?
Yeah, perfect.
And this is our presentation. Thank you.
Last but not least, ask questions. That's for our top goal. It's important that you know the rules as an international student. There's nothing that's more useful for me being in this field than people getting themselves in situations that we can't fix easily. We want you to have a good experience here, and we want you to have opportunities to work. So, for instance, a key rule is do not work until you know that you have authorization, because working improperly with the U.S. government, and this is not just recent, they're very unforgiving, and it kind of ranks to drug trafficking. And I'm not exaggerating there. And the other big thing is, and this is good advice for life in general, but especially for all things immigration, plan ahead and apply early. Okay, so again, the two types of practical training that we're going to talk about, is everyone in this, I know there was an L person, it's mostly everyone in F1. And do we have any J1s? We're not going to get into P1, but...
You can come talk.
Okay, so it's F1. God, this is a very strange one. So curricular practical training basically is some type of internship in the field of your major during your program. OPT generally is post-degree. Do we have any doctors? OPT, you start with us, but the actual authorization is from USCIS. The key, any authorization you need to have in writing before you begin. We've seen people really mess themselves up. The other key thing is on-campus employment ends when your program's done. So we've seen people who get a job on campus that they're going to use for practical training, but they keep working past when the program ends. That's unauthorized employment, and there's no way to fix it. So we don't want that to be a problem for any of you. So, and again, any unauthorized employment puts a person out of status and they're subject to deportation. My goal is not to be negative, but for you to avoid let yourself get in a difficult situation. We want you to all have a great experience here and great careers beyond Penn State.
Good.
So I'm going to turn it over to Brian.
No microphone needed. I'm from New Jersey. All right, CPT is curricular practical training. All right, so must be enrolled full-time for 1 full academic year. That's fall and spring. You're ready to go right after the end of your spring semester, for example. That's one of the examples to make you eligible. You just can't come in and do it. However, if it's part of your established curriculum and you need it, there's an exception to that rule.
Only at the graduate level.
Undergraduate level. On the graduate level.
Only.
Right, good point. Okay? So it says the required practical training must be a requirement of the major program, established part of the curriculum, the graduate level. The optional, if not required, it must be credit bearing.
Oh, wait a minute. I just want to make sure I didn't pause. You had said sometimes there's an exception to full academic year. That's only at the graduate. The rest of it applies at any level.
Correct, yeah, I was referring to the next one. Right. So if it is required for your degree, as part of this program, you don't need to, if the department requires credit, you take credit. But it's not required credit, it's required for your degree. The optional, you must take a credit for. The reason we bring that up is, most of you, it's going to be in the summer. Your CPT is going to be in the summer. You have to take a 1 credit course approved by your department to do that internship. And you would talk with your department, you'd apply, I'll get you in a second. You talk to your department, you apply for it, you sign up for the course. We'll go through the details in a little bit on that. Yes?
So I've had multiple friends who have done co-ops, so meaning they're not here during the fall or spring semester and delaying their graduation, their international students. So how does that play in with students must be full-time, full academic?
So if you're in part of a co-op, in most cases, it's required to graduate. And that'll give you the exception.
No, it's not for the people that I know. They're engineering students, though. I don't know if that's true.
Engineering does have a co-op. You can choose co-op or non-co-op in the engineering department. If you choose the co-op, it's now a requirement to graduate. And some exceptions will be implied there. So people will do 1 semester, a fall or a spring, and a summer option. And in that case, I don't know if they have to take a full credit load, but they can go, for example, work in New York City in the fall and still be considered a full-time student, and then do their summer portion. But they sign up for that option. That's one example. And that's how they can get away with doing that. It's not a requirement. You must be a full-time student at Penn State in resident instruction. Okay, did I skip something? And it's authorized per semester. So if it is for 2 semesters, for example, that co-op, you'll have to apply for the summer, and for example, apply again for the fall, if it's continued. All right? Too fast? Too slow? Okay. Too fast? New Jersey, try driving in New Jersey. So, off-campus employment for F1 students during the academic program, authorized to see this. Part-time is less than 20 hours. And full-time is equal to, wait a minute, I lost this. More than 20 hours, that's how I want to put it in my words. So you can be part-time at 20 or less. More than 20 is considered full-time. And the big issue on that is you can't do more than 364 days of full-time CPT. Undergrads, that's really hard to do. All right, so it's very rare I saw people go over, and it's usually in the master's or PhD program. But again, because bachelor's, you have to be full-time in fall and spring. Right? Generally, full-time CPT authorized only during summer, as I mentioned before, because you have to be full-time in fall and spring. So these are really going out for bachelor's degree students in the summer. Again, master's, PhD, a little different. It's different cases. You should come in and speak to us about your situation. And then part-time CPT during fall and spring, while both full-time may be possible. Come see us. We'll check it out. Cool. CPT, if internship is paid employment, the CPT is required. Don't start and say, I didn't know. A lot of trouble for you. All right, so get permission. Eli mentioned you're authorized to work. He's correct. Once you get permission. You need that permission. Don't ever work and say, well, I thought I could. My friend told me, right? My friend did it. Why can't I do it? I hear that a lot. Maybe you should get a new friend. So, if unpaid, it may still be required. This is very important. Come see us. If you're handing out water at a marathon race, you don't have to come see me for that. Go ahead and do it. But there's things that you want to talk to us about if you're doing it unpaid, and you don't want to sign up for that credit in the summer and pay the $1,500. Yeah, of course.
The reason that second bullet is there, and most immigration attorneys are going to encourage you to get CPT, whether it's paid or unpaid, because for it to be unpaid, there are certain situations in certain fields where unpaid is okay, but it has to meet labor law requirements. If it does not, that means being unpaid was not okay, and then it can be deemed by the government to be unauthorized employment if you did not have CPT. Therefore, most immigration lawyers strongly advise if you're doing any kind of internship to get CPT, whether it's paid or unpaid.
Right. An example of labor law is working for unpaid for a position that normally is paid. That is one example of a labor law violation by the company. But that still affects you. The CPT timeline, you get your job offer, and they say, can you start tomorrow? You're like, no, I need a couple weeks. Okay? You can't just start right away. So you get your job offer, you're going to request a letter with the guidelines, and I'll show you on the next slide. You're going to say, yes, I need about 2 weeks. Can I get a letter stating these things? And I'll show you on the next slide. You go to your academic department, you say, I got a job offer, here's my letter. Could I apply it to could I get a credit? Apply it towards my degree. And they say, yes, that's great. You're going to take business, $295, and great. You sign up for the course, you register for the internship course, and then you apply online. And I start with us. Some people say, oh, I'll apply real quick without doing all that stuff, and I'll get it faster. No, it actually goes slower. Because when you get it wrong, we got to contact you, and we got to put it into the wrong queue. You want to be in the right queue. So make sure you have everything correct. It will go faster for you, I promise. So the info required in that letter is your job title, even if it says intern. That's fine. All right, your start and end dates, exact dates. As soon as possible will not work. When the job is done is not a good end date. Exact dates. They can be adjusted. All right, but you want a new offer letter every time you adjust it. Those letters are for your records. You go for an H-1B, permanent residency, these things they may be asking for, and if everything you did was right, you're in good shape. So, yes? Right, absolutely. So your letter could be, and I accept this, I'm not sure if you do, I'm the one signing the document. If your job offer letter is for 6 months, it goes summer into fall, I'll still authorize it, but I'm authorizing it to right before the beginning of the fall semester. Then you got to apply again, and I will accept that same letter. And then I extend it on.
But we do have to be sure they're not forever.
Right, oh, you still have to be eligible, absolutely. The hours per week, exact hours, will work, as much as needed, right? Exact hours. And it says end salary. I don't think we need that.
Well, it's
Helpful, yeah. I don't want to see it, it makes me sad, you're making more money than me. The location, exact location, right? Not in the corner office, not just New York, but the exact street and address. Then they could do a site visit if they want. I don't know how often they do that.
and we have to put these addresses in the student
Go,
section.
go right in your government file. They request it. Brief description of what you're doing. That's great for your academic advisor to see. It's great for us to see. It's great for the government to see to make sure it matches your major. And the signature, sign, date of offer. Date of offer is good to have on there as well. You want stuff documented. Save everything. And again, any changes in your dates or anything, get a new offer letter from the company. You'll want it. All right, you apply an iStart when you got everything together, right? You schedule the course, you apply an iStart, you upload the employer offer letter. We love it if you highlight it. All the things necessary, it makes our lives easier, and it makes you realize if you forgot something. All right, so you highlight the 5 things. You're putting in your academic advisor's contact, an email's going to get sent, they're going to verify everything. They talk to you, it matches your major, they approve it, they support it. And they list the course number too, so make sure the course number matches with what you signed up for. We get the e-form only after academic advisor submitted their information. It gets assigned to an international student advisor a couple days later, what you say? Yeah, did I not say that? Yeah, I thought I did, but yeah, you want us to talk to your academic advisor first with the job letter, offer it, tell them about it, ask to see if it would be approved by them, that you can take a credit. Case gets assigned, process within 2 weeks. That's why you need to tell your employer, I need a couple weeks, please. And you need to allow time for decent processing. When selecting your start date, as I said, work it out with your employer. When can you start, right? How about 2 weeks? And follow the process correctly, or we'll be unable to approve it. Incorrect applications cause delays. So, do your research, and if it's done correctly, then things go much smoother. And OPT, you want it?
Yeah. So, how many of you are graduating within the year? Good number. Okay. So, have any of you heard anything about OPT before? Okay. So, okay, let's go to
Oh yeah, forgot.
we're a team here. So, we are focusing on the 12 months following the degree. So basically, as an F1 student earning a degree in the U.S., we're eligible to apply for and be granted up to 12 months of OPT. If you're in a STEM area, you would potentially be eligible for an additional 24 months. We're not covering that today. It is a complex process. So there is post-completion and pre-completion. Pre-completion is rarely used, and it's taken off of the 12 months. That's why it's called optional, because under certain circumstances, you can use part of the 12 months before you graduate, but it's highly advisable to use the 12 months after you complete the degree. It's a much stronger springboard. Okay, so again, you're eligible after a full academic year as a full-time student, generally in F1 status. For all practical training, employment is supposed to be directly related to your degree. When you fill out forms for us, we often ask you to indicate how it's related. Some people do a very good job at that. some people don't. We literally have to scoop that out of the form you give us and put it in STIBUS, which is a Department of Homeland Security database. So to try to represent how well the job is directly related to the degree as much as possible. Government people are scrutinizing those details. For OPT, you do not have to have a job offer at the time you apply for OPT, which is unlike CPT, and even STEM is related to a specific job. The earliest you can apply is 90 days before your program end date. How many are graduating this fall? And how many in the spring? So up to 90 days before the end, you can apply. The later you apply within the window, you have the potential to lose some of the 12 months, because on my next slide, it'll show the government is taking 3 to 5 months. They are scrutinizing every type of application and looking for reasons to deny, which is why it's taking so long.
And just to add, the 90 days is that DSO signature on your OPT I-20. So that's not mailing it in, but the actual 90 days prior to your I-20 end date is the time we issue the OPT I-20. That date is the 90 days.
So anyway, for those who apply late, you should apply to us, because we give a recommendation and that goes in STIBUS and on the I-20. Use that I-20 to apply to USCIS. But you should apply to us no later than 15 days after the program completion in order to go through everything you have to do to then get to USCIS by the deadline. But when you apply that late, even though you can apply, you will not get all of the 12 months, because it is regulatory that OPT cannot end any later than 14 months after the end of your program. So I think you can do the math. If you're not applying early enough to actually have an EAD card in hand, let's say by the end of your 60-day grace period, you will not be able to get the full 12 months. And the other thing is, it's important to know you cannot have more than 90 days of unemployment. And again, I was asked by our director to emphasize, do not continue to work on campus after your program end date. We've had some problems with that. Once someone has worked improperly, there's no way to fix, and that's a very painful situation. We don't want to see that happen to anybody. Okay. So our process, most of you, I think all of you who are Fs have had experience with iStar. Everyone here is familiar with that?
So one slide back, you said not more than 90 days unemployment, right? So does that include the 60-day grace period or not?
The 90 days is, so you're going to apply, you're going to request a start date. The start date cannot be more than the 60 days after your program ends. Once you have the card in hand and your employment authorization begins, at that point is where the unemployment clock begins if you don't have a job.
Okay.
There was 90 days within that 12-month period. Cat light. My son calls this a cat light. Yeah.
Okay, next slide. So iStar, the OPT request, when you the link into the request is actually a group of 4 e-forms. You have to complete all of them. When the first 3 are done, you can access the 4th form. After you submit the 4th form, it sends the email link to your academic advisor to do his or her part. It's always important to have your advisor alerted that they're going to receive an email so that they're prepared and they respond, because the request does not come to us as a pending request until your advisor does his or her part. Most of the time, the advisors are responsive, but we've seen situations where the case just languishes out there and we can't really do anything to the advisor. The academic advisor does his or her part. So they submit, you get an email notification, then that goes into our system as a pending request within 1 to 2 business days. Generally, we try to do it within 1 business day, but certain times of the year, particularly the beginning and end of a semester, I don't know if you know, we have 10,000 international students at Penn State and close to another 1,500 to 2,000 on practical training, and that's in addition to the international faculty and research. So certain times of the year, we're dealing with, you know, at that same time of the year, we could have 700 travel signature requests. The volume is just enormous. So that's why the earlier that you apply, the better, and it's certain peak times that things can take on the longer side. We obviously try to process things as quickly as we can. We also have to get things accurately. One little typo in what we do for you can cause major problems. So we have to walk a delicate line to process things as quickly and efficiently as we can, but we also, we're human, so I can't say we're never going to make a typo, but we work really, really, really hard to minimize the chances of that. So again, for the best results, and this is true in most things in life, applying early is good. I had a professor who used to say, the longer you wait to act, the more narrow your choices. And yeah, I think in general that's good advice. Didn't you say? Okay. So again, once your your ISTART request is approved, we have to act and see this. We issue an I-20 with the OPT recommendation, and then you have to apply to USCIS. They issue the EAD card. That's the actual work authorization. There's so many details to what USCIS requires. We're giving a few little highlights, but here's where our training is really important. If you mess up any little detail, I mean, we had a student last semester who did not put their address accurately, and this was somebody who applied on the late side. They put the street name, and then they put the house number at the end. That does not comply with USPS addresses. USCIS rejected the request. They were at the very end of the window and missed. It's a legal deadline. Even if they want to take your case, they legally can't. And that person lost out on OPT because of not paying attention to the details. So we're giving a few little highlights, but our training goes into all the details. But one thing that really trips people up is once we issue the I-20 with the OPT recommendation, your whole case needs to be at USCIS no later than 30 days from the date of that I-20 with the OPT request. If you miss that deadline, your case is sent back. If it's sent back, you likely need a new I-20, or when you resend it, we've had people resend it with the same I-20, and then it's really outside the 30 days, and if you are a late applicant, we've seen people lose out. We don't want you to lose out on this opportunity. USCIS is taking longer for everything that they process, and they're currently reporting 3 to 5 months to process an OPT request. You cannot begin work until you have the card in hand, and the start date on the card is the current date or later. In other words, you can't start work before the start date on the card. And again, because of the unemployment, you have to begin employment within 90 days of the start date on the card. I'm sorry that it seems like this mic is cutting in and out. hopefully you can hear me in the back. So there's two things. One is the avoiding 90 days of unemployment, and that's where all the advice you got about starting your job search. I started at Penn State last fall, and I met a student at a similar program last October who already had a job lined up for the following May. So I see nodding over here. So again, planning ahead and applying early in all areas really helps. The other thing is you're required to report employment within 10 days. So right now you report that to us and we put it in. All right, so this is just a quick slide to kind of re-emphasize the difference between the two. CPT is during the program. We're focusing on post-completion OPT, which is after program completion. In both, really for all off-campus employment, for the most part, you have to meet the full academic year requirement. The one exception with CPT is if you're in a graduate program that requires like an internship right away, and my understanding is Penn State has no programs like that. So generally, you have to meet the full academic year requirement. For CPT, generally an internship course is required. There's a very, very small number of academic programs that require, internship, but the nature of the field is such that it's spread out and they don't have a specific course. Only in those very few programs we do not have to register for an appropriate course. All the others would register for some type of internship or other appropriate course, co-op or something along those lines. No registrations required for OPT. A job's required for CPT. It's an employer job-specific work authorization. The first 12 months of OPT, it has to be in the field of your major, or actually all practical training. The whole idea is to complement classroom learning, to work in the field of your major, but it's not tied to a specific job. STEM OPT is tied to a specific job. So with OPT, you can change employers without reapplying. It just has to be in the field of your major. And it has to be, a minimum of 20 hours. With CPT, it's authorized by us, but we have to follow regulatory guidelines, which is why we ask for specific things. And if you don't give us what we need, we're not able to approve it. That's why the instructions are important. With OPT, as we went over, we give a recommendation, but USCIS gives the actual work authorization to that card. With CPT, there's no minimum number of hours. It generally, except the rare exception that was mentioned for the engineering co-op, for the vast majority of programs, it's going to be not more than 20 hours a week during the academic year. Okay, so coming back full circle, take our trainings, follow any guidance that we give. We send a lot of emails to students to help them stay in status. So please read our emails. I encourage you to read it on a computer. Even when we read emails to each other, sometimes we read it wrong when we read on our tiny little screen phones. Immigration is so detail-oriented as much as possible. It's better on a computer. It's important to know the rules, pay attention to the details, and really this line, plan ahead and apply early, it's not my personal slogan. I got it from the State Department. They have long encouraged us to ask our students to plan ahead and apply early, and it makes a lot of sense. So we have walk-in advising. I'm sure most of you are aware, Monday and Tuesday in the afternoons, Thursday and Friday mornings. We have a submit a question e-form. We have an email address, but we were getting a lot of things where people would use their Americanized name. We had no idea who people were. Immigration's very contextual, so we often have to pull up your record, and we had no way to do that, so we properly answer a question. So we created this e-form which pulls up in your record, and we have the information to hopefully give you the best answer possible. We do have a phone, but it's trying to give advice over the phone is very, very difficult. So unless it's something quick in general, although I'm not a big fan of the input question, because my experience is students will ask what they call a quick general question, but then they're going to turn around and apply it to their specific situation. If we don't know the details of your specific situation, we could be giving you the wrong information. So phone generally is not the best way. I think for people who are at a distance, or sometimes things need to be over the phone. Brian does phone duty.
Yeah, I put this black bar on purpose, so you couldn't call me.
One thing you should know is we have one advisor each day assigned to phone duty, but he or she can only talk to one person at a time, so leave a message. Speak clearly and slowly, because sometimes you can listen to a message 5 times and you can't make out the phone number or the name. And sometimes advisors want to pull up the record if they can. But we do make every effort to call people back if we can make out the phone number at a minimum. Sometimes we can't because people talk too fast, and it's not.
We got a slow down feature on the thing. But yeah, you got to leave a message. You can't call and say, I called 12 times. No, you didn't. Call once. Leave a message. I spend more time calling back than I do answering, because I got to get the messages. Then I got to call people back, and then I got new calls coming in when I'm on the phone. But I call everybody back, even if it's 6:45. I'll stay. If there's a fire in the building, I'm calling you back.
Anyway, we're happy to answer any questions. Anyone who wants to ask questions in a group, I encourage you, because it helps everybody else. If you rather ask us individually, I don't know, I'm happy. Yeah.
So, if I am doing a master's degree, and I apply, and I get my OPT, and I use it for 12 months, and I decide to go back to school and do a PhD or another master's, can I get another OPT for another 12 months?
Yes. All right, let's try this side of the room.
Let's say just got an internship over the summer or during the semester without DPT or OPT approved. What would happen if somebody got a look into and then found that you're not getting authorized work?
I have to know the details. If it was truly employment that should have been paid, that would be a problem.
Okay.
Usually, if people violate their status and there's no way to fix it, like if someone works improperly, they're not eligible for reinstatement. But there are other mechanisms that we can explore. Generally, we have to work with the individual person to look at whether they can, for people where travel is not a problem, traveling out of the country and re-entering can put a person back in status. But usually that means we create a whole new status record. We have an initial attendance I-20, and that full academic year clock to work off campus restarts. So a person can get back in legal status, but then must do OPT depending on where they are. There's so many consequences, so that's why, if at all possible, we hope to give proactive messages so avoid people falling out of status. Employment is something that's always been extremely sensitive to the government. Way before this administration, I was in the field, I'm dating myself here, but even before 9/11, that has been a sensitive issue because that is not a new thing. So unauthorized employment has always been really sensitive. So we want to help you avoid being in that situation as much as possible.
So this is regarding traveling while you have the EAD. So I'll be graduating in December, and I'll be applying for the post-completion OPT. And I'll also have 4 more years on my visa, but I wanted to make sure about traveling internationally during that time while you have the EAD and when you don't have the EAD, because I'll be applying to start in Feb or something like that. So I was just wondering what the travel rules are.
I can tell you that things have been changing very rapidly under this administration, and technically it's said that you can travel so are you talking about when you have the EAD in hand but not the job hasn't?
So for my purpose literally would be this December going back to India, and I would not have the EAD card. I'll be applying for it to start, say, in February or something like that.
Well, so it is said different places that you could travel. The way the climate is right now, we were at our annual conference in Philadelphia in May, and the CVP from Philadelphia, they're used to working with college students, and they're very nice. But their recommendation for what's in your best interest, and they even said from 1 week to the next, they don't know what they're going to be allowed to do, because there are people in the White House who are very involved in immigration. So it's very risky to travel when you don't yet have PAD for a number of reasons. Even if CBP, let's say, is willing to let you in, right now USCIS is scrutinizing everything, even the things we file for international faculty who are on PhDs and brilliant in their field. You wouldn't believe the request for evidence that even universities, some of the best medical facilities in the country, and students sometimes get extensive RFEs that we have never, RFEs, request for additional evidence. If an RFE comes and you're not here and they give you a limited time to respond and you don't respond, they will deny their OPT. So for that reason, it's encouraged. Did you apply yet for?
Not yet. I'll be applying this week.
Yeah, it's, and I can appreciate that you want to visit your family at a holiday time. There is risk. So,
is it safer to do it with the EAD card though?
yes, so the regulations specifically state that if you have the EAD card in hand and you have a job lined up, that you're allowed to re-enter to begin or resume that employment. That would be fine.
So if you don't have a job lined up, have your card, you can't count that.
It's discretionary on the part of the inspector. I think at this point in time, as of right now, the chances are if you're at the very start and you don't have it wrapped up, like let's say you have the card but the start date hasn't come and you haven't wrapped up a lot of unemployment, chances are, as of the way things are right now, they probably would let you in, but you know, I just hate to see people go through a whole degree, especially those of you at higher levels of education, and lose out on your OPT because it is a springboard to the other opportunities. So, there's so many people here. That's so unfortunate.
So I have a question about co-ops where you have to work full-time and get paid. So are international students allowed to do that, especially for my major is engineering, and we don't have like mandatory internship within our program?
I have been in this field for decades at multiple institutions. I'm still relatively new, and as you know, this is a big place. So my understanding is that there are certain programs, and particularly within engineering, that offer co-op as an option. And if you sign up for that option, then that becomes a requirement for you.
The engineering co-op allows you to work full-time
Okay.
for one of those semesters.
But I
If
have
you
to-
choose that option.
Okay, but I have to register as a full-time student during that co-op time.
Whatever they require for your registration for that co-op is what you sign up for.
Okay. And then for CPT, I don't have to go through the USCIS process.
Correct.
You can stay.
Right, CPT is authorized by us. But we still have to follow regulations and try to help you be in staff.
After OPT, you have to leave the country or apply for new course. Up to you.
Well, in most situations, what level are you at?
Sorry?
What level are you at? Doctor.
PhD.
And what kind of career path are you looking for? An academic career, research? Academic. So you're hoping for, what's your field? What field you're up? So you're in a STEM area, you're gonna do a postdoc?
No.
But you want a tenure track position?
Yeah.
Okay, well, number one, talk to your faculty about what is the best career path. Certain fields to work at, and it depends on what type of institution you want to work at. But certain STEM areas, the better universities usually likely to have up to 2 years of postdoc. So to compete well, but talk to your, I don't know your field specifically, so talk to your faculty for advice on that. For a tenure track position, any university is going to sponsor an H1, and because tenure track is potentially permanent as long as you do well, usually they will sponsor you for permanent residence.
As far as, there's options to do change of status and you can stay if the change of status is approved, or you'd have to leave and travel back in, if that's what you're talking about after the OPT. You don't always have to leave. You can do a change of status.
But in an academic career path, there's a particular path, and you need to learn about the faculty hiring cycle. So, because it's important that you apply at the right time. Generally, faculty hiring, they advertise in the fall. In business, they actually start advertising in the summer, but most fields in the fall. Then they are interviewing through the winter, and usually in the spring they make offers to people to start the following fall. So you need to talk to your faculty for career advice on how things normally work, whether they encourage you to do the postdoc first, whether that makes a difference in how competitive you are. If you want to work for a research university, having a postdoc might make a difference. It depends. I mean, there are many different types of institutions in the U.S., and it depends on, what type of institution you are hoping to be at.
So you said on the earlier slide that for the OPT, we don't need to have a job lined up. So would you recommend that we just apply anyways, to have it start as soon after we graduate as possible, and then try to secure the job within the 60 days or however much it was, the grace period that we have anyways, or not? And what would happen if, let's say, we don't get a job, then we would have to, I assume, leave anyways? Does that make sense?
Yeah. What's your field?
Spanish.
Spanish. And you're at what level?
Doctoral.
Oh. So are you looking for an academic career?
Possibly.
How far off are you?
2020, so I have some.
Well, I think you want to kind of get advice, and you want to figure out whether you're looking for an academic career, that's particular path. So talk to your faculty about that. With an academic year, H1s, so people who are in an area where they're persons are not subject to employment cap, and we have particular paths for permanent residency for teaching faculty that don't exist for anybody, that are preferential paths. So if an academic working in higher ed, teaching, whether it's research or not, I know at my last institution, there was such a need for language that they have tenure track, which generally always requires a research piece, but they also had teaching faculty that were not going to be tenured, but there's a huge need for those people to potentially hire those that might not fit.
So even if I didn't choose the academic path, would it still make sense to sign up for this just in case, so I have like that door open?
Yes, yes, I mean, you do want to line things up as much as possible, but you have time to look and figure out what you want to do career-wise and what you want to do. Any other questions? Well, thank you, you've been a fabulous group, we really enjoyed it.
So I know we're definitely really late. I would say thanks to everyone for sticking around to the end. I know Eli is still here. If anyone has any questions you'd like to ask him, he did offer kind of some LinkedIn tips if anyone wants to stick around for that. I do know it's late, but please thank you and everyone else. I'm super excited you guys stuck around.
I really enjoyed it.